My fiancé, a 30-year-old male, and I, a 22-year-old female, have been together for 4 years as of August. We got engaged in December 2023 and are happily planning the wedding for next August, which coincides with our 5-year anniversary. I recently started school on Sophia and discovered that the work can be easier on a tablet, which he happens to have while I do not. I asked him if I could use it, to which he agreed without any problems and handed it right over. Well, last night I was hanging out with his mom and sister, telling them about my schooling. I tried to type the link partners.gu.edu. But as soon as I hit the P, the auto-populated suggestion on the tablet was Pornhub. Frankly, I didn't have a problem with it and found it kind of funny. However, when I went to the browsing history and filtered for links containing the word porn, there was more than I had anticipated. About every other day or every 3 days, there were 5 links dating back about a month and then nothing. I assumed he had deleted his history at some point in April. I called him on my way home and told him about the auto-populated link and that I found it funny. He responded by saying, "I don't know how that got there. I don't watch porn." I replied, "It's fine if you do, but don't go out of your way to lie to me." He insisted, "I'm not lying, it wasn't me." I said, "Okay, well then you need to update your security settings because someone, somewhere, is logged into the same email we use at our bank, watching porn, and it's syncing to your history." Now, I'm not stupid and I didn't really believe him. However, usually when it's something trivial like this, and he's just embarrassed about something, eventually he will admit it and we have a laugh and it's fine. But this time, he was very adamant that it was not him. I thought to myself, okay, maybe it's unlikely, but not impossible, that his account is compromised. So I told him he needed to see if he could do some kind of log out all devices thing and change his password. He responded by saying he didn't know how to do that. I said, "Okay, it's fine, we'll figure it out." Once I got home, I went back to the tablet. I didn't inform him that I was going to do this, but I clicked on the profile icon where you can switch Google accounts and view security settings. I noticed an icon for an email that starts with M. I only know about 2 of his emails, and they both start with J. So, out of curiosity, I clicked to expand and found an email with the address MikeCock, followed by random numbers and gmail.com. I honestly chuckled a little bit because I completely trust this man, and I mean, we're happy. We just moved 1,500 miles from my home state to be closer to his family because we're hoping to have kids after the wedding. I assumed it was just some silly email he used to avoid spam in his regular inbox. However, my curiosity got the best of me, and I started looking through the inbox. I discovered a bunch of notifications from a service called Letters Freely, which apparently is some international dating service, but it seemed like he wasn't active on it. I also found a lot of stuff from before we started dating, which I'm willing to overlook since it's understandable. Additionally, I found a couple of moderately questionable emails saying, "Thanks for your subscription," which I assume come from services similar to OnlyFans. However, we have a joint bank account, and I don't know where he's getting the money from if he's still using those services. I also found emails that mentioned his name, accounts with usernames he typically uses for everything, and an email from Google asking if he wanted a specific phone number to be his recovery phone number, and it was his number. So, I'm 100% sure this is his email and not some strange case of cyber stuff. Here's the most troubling thing I found, because I didn't make you read through all this unnecessary information for no climactic ending. There were emails forwarded to this address from his personal email, and they had photos attached. One email had the subject naked and contained a single picture of a girl's butt. The other email had the subject blackmail, and it contained 7 unclothed pictures that included the poor girl's face. She looks legal, I guess, but definitely not older than 25, which I suppose is irrelevant. These emails were dated on a day when he was on an out-of-state trip. I am honestly more shaken by the subject line blackmail than anything else. I'm devastated and feel like I don't even know him. How could he be the type of person to engage in revenge porn? I am saddened by the fact that he cheated, but I know I could potentially overcome that. I haven't even discussed any of this with him. We slept together in our bed last night. What should I do? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He hasn't even told you. You had to find out on your own. If you're okay with being cheated on, then sure, stay with him. But understand that's the kind of person he is. You can't carry the relationship on your own. It takes work from both partners who want the best for each other. When one partner doesn't, then the whole thing crumbles. Also, why would you want to continue with someone who uses revenge porn? You realize that could be you as well. He wants to hurt someone with that, and you're just like, it's okay, still love him. Comment 2. Why would you get over his cheating? Just shrug your shoulders and that's it. If you can do that, then just stay with him while he continues to cheat because he's gonna. My advice is obviously break up and don't apologize or explain. Boy, bye. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around. So, the past month has been pretty up and down, and not the fun kind. After finding those emails, I was torn up inside, but I kept it to myself, waiting for the right moment to confront him. That moment came sooner than expected. It was a regular Thursday evening when his phone buzzed with a message that popped up on the screen. It was from a name I didn't recognize, but the preview of the text made my blood run cold. "Can't wait for our next session," it read. I felt sick. I confronted him right there, and he tried to brush it off as a message from a gym buddy. But I wasn't buying it. I demanded to see the conversation, and after a heated argument, he handed over his phone. The texts were worse than I imagined. Not only was he cheating, but he was paying for it too. I was furious, hurt, and felt like a fool for trusting him. I packed a bag and left that night to stay with a friend. Over the next few days, I ignored his calls and texts. I needed space to think. Meanwhile, his sister reached out to me. She was apologetic, saying she had no idea about her brother's behavior. She told me about their childhood, how their father had been unfaithful to their mother, and how it had affected him. She thought he had worked through those issues, but clearly he hadn't. I appreciated her support, but it didn't change the facts. A week later, I met him in a public place to talk. He was full of excuses and apologies, claiming it was all a mistake, that he was stressed about the wedding and got caught up in something stupid. He promised to go to therapy, to do whatever it took to fix things. I wanted to believe him, but trust is like a mirror. Once it's shattered, you can never look at it the same way again. I decided to give him a chance to prove himself, but I had conditions. He had to come clean about everything, and I mean everything. He agreed, and over the next few weeks, he confessed to more lies and betrayals. It was like every time we talked, another piece of my heart broke off. Then came the news. I found out he had taken money from our joint account for his escapades. Money we were saving for our future, for our kids. That was the last straw. I couldn't look at him the same way. I couldn't imagine building a life with someone who could so easily deceive me and risk our future for his selfish desires. I called off the wedding. It was a tough decision, but I knew it was the right one. His family was shocked, and there were a lot of tears and shouting, but I stood my ground. I moved out of our shared apartment and started the process of untangling our lives. The aftermath was messy. There were arguments about who got what, mutual friends taking sides, and a constant barrage of messages from him begging for another chance. But I was done. I blocked his number, returned the engagement ring, and focused on healing and moving forward. His sister still checks in on me from time to time. She's been a surprising source of comfort, and I'm grateful for her friendship. As for him, I heard through the grapevine that he started therapy, but that's his journey to take, not mine. I'm back in school, focusing on my studies and rebuilding my life. It's not easy, but I'm getting there, one day at a time. I've learned a lot about myself and what I deserve. I won't settle for anything less. Thanks for reading. Am I the idiot for not breaking up with my girlfriend when my parents threatened to evict me from the house they bought? Hi r/relationship_advice. Some key points before you read. I moved to Orlando, Florida from Washington State in February of 2023. It was closer to family, and I had a lot of friends here. I truly love it here. I'm convinced there is something mentally not okay with my mother, and we've had a hot-cold relationship for years. My dad divorced her and got remarried to her, and these days just puts up with it. We used to have a significantly better relationship, but this has frankly tarnished all of that, and he just puts up with it. My parents are real estate investors in the Orlando area, and generally buy some terrible homes in even worse areas, and somehow find renters. They act like they're mansions, but they truly are terrible. I'm 28 years old. When I initially moved here, I got my own apartment in a great suburb of Orlando. My parents helped me move and were really excited for me to get back on this coast. At some point during my residency, my parents brought up a notion to attempt to help me by buying me a house. My credit is shot, and there is no way I qualify for a conventional mortgage. Maybe before the Big Short, but certainly not in today's housing climate. I didn't actively reach out to them for this sort of assistance, but I toyed with the idea. Given the fact that they are real estate investors, their interest rate was going to be somewhere in the realm of 7%. That left me with a max value of about a $400,000 house in order to be comfortable with the payment. Daily, my mom would send me listings to some of the shittiest homes I've ever seen and get upset when I say I don't like it. That would generally be when I would cut off the conversation after I'm told I'm ungrateful. Mind you, they haven't even done anything yet. Months pass, and I find a decent townhome in a location that I've always wanted to live in. It's a townhome that has 2 beds, 2 baths, and was about $380,000. In an effort to make my parents happy and not be so ungrateful, I agreed that they can put an offer on it. Mind you, this house is one that I would likely never buy with my own money, but given the interest rate, I sort of had to stick with it. The agreement was that they would put down $100,000 for the house they own. I'm not on the title. The mortgage, I pay the full escrow, mortgage payment, PMI, taxes, and HOA dues. And when it comes time to sell, I would get every dollar above the selling price. It was an enticing deal to get some equity that I otherwise wouldn't get living in an apartment complex. This was all something that was verbally discussed, and I can't find any physical copy of this being said either over text or another medium. I very well could not see a dime out of this and have no recourse in the eyes of the law as far as I know. I broke my lease and moved in, came in October of 2023, which also happened to be when I met my current girlfriend, who I am extremely happy with. My parents came over in December for Christmas, and I actually had my girlfriend stay in my house while my parents were in town, so we can all do stuff together. I thought it went well. My parents met her family and my friends, and we generally had a great time. That apparently wasn't their idea of the week, and they are super upset that my girlfriend basically lives here. Text exchanges with my mother generally result in me being called a disgrace, ungrateful, disrespectful, etc. At the end of the day, this is all stemming from the fact that I got a girlfriend. They apparently don't like her, are losing control of me. And now we're both suffering navigating business and family. It's taking a huge toll on me to the point where I woke up today and cried after receiving another demeaning text from my mother. That same person they hate was there to comfort me. How should I navigate this? Every time I try to talk about it, it just turns into an attack, where she says some terrible things about me and my partner. Is it healthier for me to just cut ties? I'm at a loss. Being worried about my living situation every day is really taking a toll at this point. And I don't have it in me to start another argument. Almost daily now, I get random texts at random hours of the day with her picking a fight. There is no clear path to a cordial conversation. Your guidance is appreciated. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Remember the Buddhist principle of detachment. Detach from the need for approval or validation from others, and focus instead on cultivating inner peace and authenticity. Setting boundaries with love and compassion is crucial for your well-being and growth. As the Buddha said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. I'm not advocating any religion or something like that, don't get me wrong, but that saying came to my mind after reading your post. Take care of yourself first, always. Comment 2. Laugh out loud. Your folks took a big loss right to their immature, petty foreheads. Unconditional love. Yeah, right. Sorry, dude. That part sucks for you. But the house deal is a major win. Enjoy your life and choose your family. Blood means nothing but the genetic inheritance of predispositions for certain health disorders. Now for the update, hi r/relationship_advice. A lot has happened since my last post. So, my parents, they've always been a bit controlling, but things just went off the rails. Remember the townhome they bought for me? Well, it turns out they had a hidden agenda. They've been secretly planning to sell it from under me, claiming the market is ripe and they could make it ending the life of. They didn't even have the decency to tell me to my face. I overheard them discussing it on a call they thought I wasn't privy to. I confronted them, and it was like a scene straight out of a bad movie. My dad, who I thought was on my side, sided with my mom, saying it was a smart financial move. I couldn't believe it. The betrayal stung like a slap. I argued, reminding them of our verbal agreement, but they just laughed it off. They said I should be thankful for the roof they provided over my head. Can you believe that? And then my girlfriend, who's been my rock through all this, did something unexpected. She offered to loan me the money to buy the townhome for my parents. She had some inheritance stashed away, and she wanted to help. It was a generous offer, but it felt wrong to drag her into my family mess. I declined, telling her I couldn't let her do that. She insisted, but I stood my ground, thinking I could handle it on my own. That's when things got even messier. My mom, in a fit of rage during one of our arguments, threatened to evict me if I didn't break up with my girlfriend. She said she was a bad influence, and that I was choosing her over my own family. I was shocked. How could she ask me to choose? I refused, of course. And that's when she served me with an eviction notice. Just like that, I was about to be homeless because of a grudge. I scrambled to find a solution, and in a moment of desperation, I turned to a friend who I thought I could trust. He said he knew a guy who could help me with a loan, despite my shot credit. I was hesitant, but what choice did I have? I met with the guy, and he seemed legit. He offered me a loan with terms that were too good to be true. I should have known better, but I was cornered, so I took it. I paid my parents for the townhome, and they transferred the title to my name. I thought I had outsmarted them, but I was wrong. The loan terms changed overnight. The interest rates skyrocketed, and the payments were more than I could afford. I was trapped in a deal that was going to bleed me dry, and I had no way out. Now I'm stuck with a mortgage I can't afford, a townhome that feels like a prison, and a relationship that's strained because I didn't accept help when it was offered. My girlfriend is still with me, but I can see the worry in her eyes. She's trying to hide it, but I know she's thinking about what could happen if I can't make the payments. I'm resentful, not just towards my parents for their deceit, but towards myself for making the wrong choice. I should have trusted my girlfriend's intentions, but pride got the better of me. Now I'm paying the price, both financially and emotionally. Thanks for reading. Am I the idiot for being labeled a misogynist? By my wife when I'm just trying to help? I have issues just like most people, but mine aren't about being misogynistic or lazy. My issues are that I work a lot, owner, sometimes letting work bleed into my personal time. I can be emotionally shut off at times, and I'm not great at getting my kids dressed or doing their hair before events. I procrastinate on large projects. I'm self-deprecating and aware of my faults. If my wife criticizes me for these things, I agree with her. However, I am good at working hard, staying busy and involved, helping my kids with school and sports, cleaning up around the house, and ensuring my family has the means to do what they want, financially and time-wise. Being lazy. My wife often tells people I am lazy and don't clean up, which is not true. I spend at least an hour every day cleaning, sometimes several hours once a week or two. I contribute about 40% to household cleaning, compared to her 60%. She's a stay-at-home mom, and I work full-time. I handle tasks like cooking, changing cat litter boxes, doing dishes, paying bills, arranging professional services, cleaning stains off the floor, transporting clothes to/from the laundry, cleaning the bathroom, taking out the trash, wiping down windows and mirrors, sweeping, mopping, organizing things, my own laundry, removing trash and dishes from everyone's rooms, and taking the kids to school and activities. Despite this, she tells people I'm like her third child who needs everything done for him, which is a complete mischaracterization. It's also extremely rude to say to people about me. I'm proud of who I am and how hard I work. To have it shot down like that is wild to me. When we first met over a decade ago, I was messy, but I've changed significantly and have different priorities now. I know I share nearly as much responsibility as her in maintaining our household. If I ever mention something she didn't do or did wrong, it turns into an all-day fight. I'm timid, I don't fight, and I never nitpick her, unless I'm aggravated and finally let out some kind of criticism back after she hammers me for days. Yet she nitpicks me daily without me being allowed to take offense, being a misogynist. My wife accuses me of mansplaining whenever I explain something to her. If there's a tool she doesn't know how to use, or if I have thoughts on something, she calls it mansplaining. I cannot explain anything to her without it being called mansplaining. She portrays me as a husband who just works and then comes home to do nothing, which isn't true. My only free time is an hour after midnight once everyone is asleep. She watches a lot of TikTok videos on self-worth and lazy husbands and applies things she sees there to me. While she is welcome to her own opinions if they aren't at all realistic, I can't just lay down and take that. She compares me to husbands who truly do nothing at home, which is far from my reality. I don't mind everything I contribute, but it's frustrating when my efforts are not just ignored, but I'm told I do the exact opposite. I feel gaslit. She does this with everyone in her life, really. She says she needs to focus on her and that people are toxic and taking away from that. And when I tell her what she is doing, she tells me I am gaslighting her. I'm not perfect, but I have always valued women as equals, if not superior to many men in a lot of ways. I was raised this way and do not believe in traditional gender roles. I support women in the workplace and their ability to live their own lives and pursue their desires. I make fun of toxic masculinity, and I always tell people I'm happy to have daughters. I'm like the only socially liberal-minded man I know in a sea of conservative men around here who are actually like she describes. This situation keeps getting worse, and I don't know what to do to make it stop. Thanks for any advice. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, marriage counseling. Everyone needs the opportunity to blow off steam, but using people who know you as a sounding board is undermining your reputation, which might be devastating if you own a local business. So talk to a counselor together and maybe determine whether your wife needs her own therapist to complain to. She can't use your mutual peer group for this. Comment 2. This sounds to me like a counseling or divorce situation. She can decide whether it's more important to her to role play as a neglected and overworked housewife, or to save the marriage she actually has. Because it's not your job to continue trying to be a good partner, while she pretends to the world that you're a shitty one. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for more of my life's drama. So, a lot has happened since the last post. Just 2 weeks ago, my wife dropped the news during dinner. She announced she was going back to work, which was a shock because we never discussed it. She got a job offer in another city, and we'd have to move. The kids were excited, but I felt blindsided. I own a business here, and moving isn't simple. The tension at home skyrocketed. She said she needed this for herself, to feel valued beyond being a mom. I get that, but it felt like my input didn't matter. We argued more in those 2 weeks than we had in years. I was trying to support her, but I also felt like I was losing my grip on everything I'd worked for. Then, my daughter got sick. Really sick. We were in and out of the hospital, and all our problems seemed petty. My wife was by her side nonstop, and I was juggling work and our other kid. It was chaos. But in that chaos, something changed. We stopped fighting. We were a team again, focused on our daughter. My wife's job offer was still on the table, but now she was unsure. She saw how much I was doing, how I was keeping our world from falling apart while she was with our daughter. She apologized for calling me lazy, said she was stressed, and took it out on me. I told her I was sorry too, for not being more open to change. We decided to compromise. She would take the job, but we wouldn't move. Instead, she'd commute and stay with her sister during the week. It's not ideal, but we're making it work. The kids are adjusting, and I'm getting better at doing their hair for events. Our daughter's recovering, thank goodness. That scare put everything into perspective. We're not perfect, but we're trying. And that's what counts, right? Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.